Hello, everyone. It's Lindsay Landry, and welcome to week 4 training for Energy School. So, today we're going to be talking all about your energy bodies. We're going to be talking about your chakras, your meridians, and just going a little deeper into how our physical body and our thoughts and our emotions begin to connect to our energetic body. Before we dive into today's training, I want to just check in and see if anyone has any questions from last week. So last week we talked about grounding and energy awareness and grounding. So we talked about that the past 2 weeks, and I just want to check in and see if anyone has any questions from that before we dive into this next layer. If you do, you can raise your hand, or you could also just comment in the chat box. Okay, fabulous. No questions. Okay, I'm going to turn on my video and share my screen. Let's see. Okay. So this week we're talking all about understanding your energy body. So we're going to talk a little bit about our different energy bodies, how they work, how they're connected to these other layers that we've been talking about. And then we will do a quick meditation to bring you through your energy centers. Okay, so when we're talking about energy bodies, there's two main energy bodies. So we have our meridians, which meridians work on the outside of your energy. So this is where blood flows. This is, they're connected to your muscles. They're the outermost energy channel that allows you to expand. So when you are getting a massage, you are often getting your meridians worked on or getting energy moved through your meridians. When you are getting therapeutic healing, I was searching for a word, like acupuncture, that is also working on your meridians, your outermost energetic. Tapping. So when we're doing healing techniques like tapping is an energetic exercise. This is working on our meridians. And so, for me personally, when I used to do tapping, I didn't like it. I felt like it didn't work for me. It would often even bring my body into more of a contracted state. And the reason for that is because I work, for me personally, my archetype, my energetic type, um, usually I work better on the deeper energetics. So some people are going to work better with the outer layers, which is like the meridians, and will have to open those up to be able to go to the deeper layers. And then some people are going to, especially if you find yourself as more of an emotional person or a person that struggles to have structure, or to put yourself in a structure that might feel very confining or trapped to you, then if you are getting a therapy like acupuncture or like tapping, that could send your system into more of that restricted feeling. And so then we'd want to work with the deeper layers. And so You don't really need to, um, remember this, or I always I always feel like experience is our best teacher, So you can play around with tapping and notice like how that feels for you, and does it allow you to feel more open after, or do you notice yourself feeling more crunchy, when you do tapping. I used to actually, even if I would get a massage, like I would go into more physical pain after a massage or during tapping. It would often send me into a pain response. It was bringing my system into, it was like too direct for me. So um yeah, so some people work really good with the directness, right? And that would be the meridians can be a really direct access to opening our energy. And then our chakras. Our chakras are more of our deeper energetic layers, and there's like infinite layers to the actual chakras. So in Reiki 1, usually we are activating and working on the first layer of our chakras, which is often related to how we meet the physical world and our physical body and awareness. So we have 7 core chakras or power centers in our body, and these are the innermost energy. The state of each of our chakras is going to reflect the health of a particular area of our body. It also reflects our psychological and our emotional and our spiritual well-being. So the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about energy, right? What is energy? We've gone through looking at the different layers of energy. And so our chakras hold all of these different energetic layers, right? So the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and the physical. And so each chakra is going to give us information about, it could give us information about our physical health. It could give us information about how we feel emotionally or where emotional blocks are. It could also give us information about our spiritual longings. And so I personally love working with the chakras. And, when I started to first learn about energy, this was one of the portals that I really explored and dove into. And there's, again, infinite layers. So where you are today, if you listen to this training in a year, you probably could access deeper layers of your chakras, even just with the same exact information. And so the way that our chakras work is every thought and every experience that we've ever had, it gets filtered through our chakras, through our energetic system, right? And so when we have experiences, they get stored. They get stored in our energetics. And so if we, have a trauma, that's going to be stored in our system. If we have something that feels really good, that's also going to be stored in our system. And when things become blocked, right? So not last week, but the week before, we talked about energetic blocks. When the energy isn't completely flowing and it gets locked up or blocked, that's whenever our biography, right, our story becomes our biology. So it starts to manifest into physical form, and it manifests in the body. When a chakra's energy is blocked or misdirected, emotional, physical illness, and physical illness can arise, and also mental. But usually what I find is the story is the root of the energetic lockup or block, so that is like the portal to go deeper. And often, I really love working with people who already have a foundation and mindset, because when we are aware of our stories and when we are aware of our mindset blocks, right, then that gives us the portal to actually go deeper into the energetics. So any questions about this so far? Okay. So other things that our chakras can tell us, spiritual development, a state of the chakra can determine what we manifest or the lessons we manifest in our life. Okay, I just saw a question. How do I get to it? Okay, there we are. Okay, what about the ones that are stronger versus being blocked? So that can tell us a lot too. So sometimes our chakras are overactive, and usually that's also a protection. So if say our heart is an overactive chakra, great. That gives us a lot of information. And we really want it to be in balance. So we would have to start to look at, okay, well, why is my heart overactive? Why is it, an overactive heart might look like wanting to help other people, right? And then we leave ourselves to help other people. And so we would want to look at the why underneath that. So whether you're working with a block chakra, a underactive chakra, or a overactive chakra, questions, asking questions, getting really curious about, okay, well, why is it like this? When did it become like this, right? What am I gaining from it being like this? Because usually we're also gaining something. So even if our chakra is suppressed, so like if our solar plexus is underactive, our power center is underactive, there's still something that we are getting from that experience. And so really just starting to ask some questions to start to get curious about why is it doing this? And of course we can always use Reiki even without having to know the things. We can use Reiki to begin to balance the chakras and the energy. One thing that I will say is, when we're working on deeper energetic layers, if we get to a place where we are emotionally attached, so say our heart chakra is overactive and we have emotional attachment to that, it's going to be much harder for us to balance it on our own. More than likely we'll need someone else to support us in that, even if it is with a Reiki session, because when we're emotionally attached, we're going to be more resistant to letting the energy shift and letting go of whatever the thing is, to letting go of the protection or the pattern. Does that answer your question? Okay, so just let me know. I'm going to keep going. So, okay, yes. So it can tell us the state of what will manifest in our lives. So, for example, if your heart chakra is overactive, right? If our heart chakra is, we'll just say overactive, you are more than likely going to attract lessons that show you that. So that might look like attracting people who need a lot of help and support, and maybe they aren't giving to you in return. Or you continuously notice too, maybe you attract clients that are really needy, right? Or need a lot of attention, or they might even be like in victim mentality, right? Or maybe you attract friendships where you notice you're giving, and then whenever you need something, you feel like you aren't getting anything in return, and it's like it hurts your heart, right? And so this would be an example of, you will attract the lessons that are going to mirror the energetic that needs working. The same thing could happen with really any of your energetics. So let's say the solar plexus, right? Our solar plexus is our center of our identity. It's also where we separate ourselves, who we are, from others. It's also our power center, right? Claiming what we need for ourselves, claiming what we want, and separating that from what other people want. So if your solar plexus is out of balance, right? So whether that is overactive or underactive, you may then attract situations where you feel like other people are trying to control you, right? They're trying to put their needs on you. Or maybe you feel like you don't have a choice, you know. So lessons around owning your power may come forward for you if that is an area that you're working on. And these lessons are available, not only even in relationships, but in all areas of life. My sister, I went to my mom's for Father's Day, Sunday, and my sister was there, and she is in college. She's 23, and she hurt her shoulder, right? And so the shoulder is really an extension of the heart chakra. And she is such a giver. And just to give you a little background on her, I guess a few months ago, one of her best friends, boyfriends, committed suicide. And so she has been overly giving to this friend, like showing up for her, helping her, just really being there for her. And even to the point, we've had conversations around it where, if she doesn't do something for the friend, she feels bad. And it's kind of been this thing for her, of like listening to her own heart and her own needs versus doing what someone else needs, right? And so now she hurt her shoulder, and we were at my mom's, and I could feel, energetically, I could feel where it's like she just needs so much love. And it was sort of like she kept telling us over and over and over again that she hurt her shoulder and it hurt. It's like there was a way that I could just feel how she's really needing some support and some attention. It was coming out in a negative form, but this is a heart chakra thing, right? So of course she hurt her shoulder. That's connected to the heart chakra. That's what's needing balancing. That's what's needing healing for her. So, these lessons can show up in relationships. They can show up in our physical body. They can show up as injuries. They could show up as illness. They can show up even as, say something happens with your car and then it triggers something for you, right? So it could show up in all these different ways. Our chakras can also show us the strength of our being, so if your heart chakra is really big, that's probably a strong area for you. So it could be out of balance still. Just because it's really big doesn't mean that it's in balance. We still want to bring it to balance to where we're using it as a superpower and it's not causing stress in some way. Because one of the things that I see happen with healers is, you have a big heart or you have sensitivities, but if you're not using them in alignment with yourself and your needs, then you become a burnout healer or a burnout coach, So having a big heart is great, and we still need to have it balanced and aligned to ourselves. I always believe that we are, healing isn't something you do, it's something you are, and you are your best experience, and the more you come into alignment with yourself, the more powerful of a healer you're going to be, or a coach, or whatever it is that you're doing. So our chakras can also tell us our physical and emotional state, so like I was sharing with the example of my sister, even though she wasn't aware of her emotions, I could feel it. I could feel that there was some deeper stuff happening, and she wasn't necessarily available for it. So we didn't go into all of that, right? That's my own energetic boundaries, and that's my own aligning to myself. It could hold imprints of trauma and past life events. So especially if we notice there's a core area that maybe comes up over and over and over again, there could be deep imprints, and we each have our portals of healing that, the way that I've experienced, it's going to be the chakras that are going to sort of be our own journey to healing, that we're always going to be unwinding and unraveling. And the opportunity is going to be to go deeper and deeper and deeper into our own healing in that area. So for me, some of my core portals of healing, my heart, is one of those. And right now I'm at this place of learning to surrender more and more and more to my own heart. So I finally got to this place where, I'm not the overgiver that I used to be. I'm not always being pulled by everybody else's energy the way that I used to be, but I am learning to deepen into my own heart, my own passion, my own experience of life, and let that flow through me more and more and more. And it's always going to be my portal, right? I'm always going to have this portal that brings me deeper into myself and deeper into my own healing experience. So my heart is one. My solar plexus is another area for me. My third eye is probably my other core area. So these 3 layers are always going to be layers that are teaching me. They're teaching me, they're informing me, they're growing me up into who I really am. And each of us have these. So, each of you, it may be a bit different. So we don't need to make ourselves wrong. If you are working on your heart and you've been working on your heart for a while, you don't need to make that wrong. It's like, just like for me, I found myself this past year, I was like, God, my heart again, and because I've been working with the same teacher for about 2 years, and she's like, okay, this is about your heart. I'm like, gosh, it's been about my heart, right? And just, I guess last week she told me, she was like, you are a heart translator, and she was like, your heart is your portal for healing. You're always going to be deepening into your own heart. And so I can find some peace with that, right? Any questions about the chakras so far? Okay. So we're going to go through the chakras, and we'll talk about the meridian that they connect to, and what each chakra governs. So the root chakra, which is at the base of our spine, the color with it is red. This is our survival chakra. It's all about safety, survival, connecting to our roots. And so if someone has an out of balance root chakra, those are the themes that you're going to be working with them. Some of the physical things that are related to this chakra, it could be like autoimmune disorders. I'll have to see if I have a chart with that typed up. I'll send it to you if I do. But it could be autoimmune disorders. I personally, I used to struggle with autoimmune disorders, and as I've grounded more into myself, so again, there's like physical grounding, there's grounding in ourself, and then there's grounding spiritually. And the more I've grounded in those deep layers of myself, connecting more to my essence, connecting more to my soul, to who I am, I don't struggle with those autoimmune disorders like I used to. So the root chakra. So some affirmations that could go with the root chakra would be around, I am protected and safe. I am supported. I am secure. And one way that I like to use the meridians and chakras combined is if a chakra is out of balance, or if an area is out of balance, we can actually work the meridian first, and then we can work on the energetic of the chakra, especially if it is a place where there's some trauma, or there's a lot of fear, or there's a lot of emotion, and there's protection, right? So then it's harder to like actually open the chakra. What I've found really beneficial is to do some tapping. So I would tap specifically on an affirmation or an area of whatever's coming forward. So we'll just use the root chakra for an example. So I could say, well, there's two different ways. So one way we could do, I am safe to be supported, right? Or I am safe to receive support. And so we could tap on the I am safe to whatever the thing is points. And so what this is doing is it's adding some safety to our system. The other one that I really love doing is forgiveness tapping. And I find this automatically settles and relaxes my system so that I can go deeper. So if I'm dropping into a meditation, or I'm dropping into energy work, and I notice I'm having a really hard time grounding, I'm having a really hard time opening, right? Or getting to the core, like allowing myself to go in, I will do some forgiveness tapping. And so I could even start with that, right? I forgive myself for being afraid to ground. And so you could do your forehead. Usually then you go on the side of your eye. I forgive myself for being afraid to receive support. I forgive myself for being afraid to whatever the thing is. Then you do on top of your lip. And then your collarbone. And you just take some deep breaths as you're doing the tapping. And if you're doing it right now, you may already feel your system starting to relax. And so when we create the opening, so if our system is in resistance, before we can go into the chakras, we have to open the meridians, so that's what this tapping does. And I find the forgiveness tapping a really, really powerful, good tool to help soften and open the meridians. So then we can go deeper into the chakra. Any questions about that? I'm not an expert on tapping, but I can share. Brad Yates is usually one of the people that if I'm looking at tapping videos, I'll go towards his videos. He has a bunch. But I can find a simple one just to where you can see the different, if you're not familiar with tapping, you can learn the different tapping spots through the video. And then, like I said, I just make forgiveness statements. So whatever's coming up for me. So say my heart's super open, right? And I'm like giving. I could forgive myself for over giving. Or say I feel like I gave away my power, and I'm noticing that it's hard for me to claim what I want, right? Maybe I'm being really indecisive. I forgive myself for being indecisive. I forgive myself for giving away my power. So whatever is coming forward, you could just do the forgiveness tapping around that. And really, it just takes a few minutes. And it just creates a relaxation, a safety in the energetic. So, if you notice yourself having a hard time settling, start with the forgiveness tapping, and then you can go into the session or to, exploring deeper. So, okay, so the root chakra. The second chakra, which is our pelvic area, our womb space, is our sacral chakra. This is also the kidneys, reproductive areas. So if you have physical things happening in that area, then, it's linking back to the sacral chakra. That we could look at the energetic of the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is all about feeling. It's all about sensuality, also sexuality. It's about expression, especially like creative expression, letting the feeling, letting the creation move through you. So if you notice yourself in a creative block, or if you notice it's hard for you to feel, right? Maybe you're a super logical person and you're not as comfortable with feeling, then this is probably a chakra that you would want to do some work around. Also desires, like allowing yourself to have desires, or allowing yourself to desire things would be related to the chakra. So if you struggle with that, right, or if you don't know what you want, then we'd want to activate the sacral chakra. We need to get you feeling. We need to get you connected to your feelings and what feels good, and what calls you. So desires, this really could be anything. And so a few affirmations to go with this chakra: it's safe for me to feel pleasure and to have the things I desire. So the sacral chakra is also where we receive, so in business, if it's hard for you to receive money, this is one of the places that we'd want to look at. And what I see happen a lot of times for clients is a few different things. One, this chakra has been abandoned often, so there's like no energy flow there. Another, sometimes what happens is the chakra can be really leaky. And so maybe you're receiving, but then it's like things come in and then the money flows out, or the clients flow out just as fast as they've come in. So then you still feel depleted. You feel like at the end of the day, you're like, it doesn't feel like you actually received anything. That would be sacral chakra related. I am a creative being. I am worthy of receiving love and abundance. So this is a chakra of worthiness. And so again, if you know that some worthiness is a thing for you, or receiving is a thing for you, we could do forgiveness tapping around it. So I forgive myself for not knowing how to receive. I forgive myself for not feeling worthy. And so this is just creating safety. It's creating permission to where then your chakra could start to open. So if you have any questions as I'm going through, just feel free to type them in the chat box. I have the chat box up, so I'm looking at it. And I'm going to just keep rolling through. So the third chakra is our solar plexus. So that's the yellow, and it's it's a few inches above our belly button, right under our rib cage. And so this is this is really all about it's all about, like I said earlier, this is where we separate ourselves from others. So it's like our individuality. And so if you notice yourself struggling with your individuality, right? Knowing who you are, also feeling like it's okay for you to have an individuality, this is the place that would probably be weakened. And for me, it's been a portal that I've struggled with, right? When I started out in my health journey, I had a ton of stomach issues. I wasn't digesting, I wasn't absorbing. I had mono, which is like a spleen thing. All of this was a thing for me. Liver, gallbladder. The pericardium is actually like a connection between the solar plexus and the heart. The same with the triple heater. Triple heater, if you've ever had acupuncture, they work with this energetic, but it's a connection between the solar plexus and the heart. So all of our digestive organs usually are governed by the solar plexus. So if you have if you have physical issues in those areas, you want to go towards this chakra. And when I started learning about chakras, this is exactly how I did it. I started with the physical body. So I was like, oh, okay, I have stomach issues or even anxiety in my stomach. So then I would look at the solar plexus, and I could start getting really curious. So it's like once I knew what the energetic was of that chakra, I could start to get really curious about, okay, well, what is this for me, right? So some of the affirmations: it's safe for me to feel powerful. I am confident. So confidence is also a big solar plexus thing. Spirit gives me strength, confidence, courage to honor my needs. So if you have a hard time knowing what you need, right, or separating your needs from other people's needs, that is what this chakra is about. For me personally, I had so much other people's energy in my space that it was really challenging for me to discern, where am I, right? What is it that I need? What is it that I want? What is it that I even feel, right? Because I was feeling everyone else's energy so strongly, I was having a hard time feeling myself. And so, if you identify with this, one thing that you could even just start to do is even ask yourself, is this mine? Is this need really mine? Is this thing that, I think I should have, is that even mine? Is this emotion even mine? And so starting to ask yourself these questions, is this mine, can start to help you discern the things that you're holding on to that aren't even yours, you know? Okay, so the heart is our fourth chakra. The color is green. So this is our heart center. It also, usually our arms are associated with the heart, our chest. It can even be the back, so if you have upper back pain, usually this is the heart chakra. And usually it's deeper to your soul. So there could be, the back of our body usually is related to our soul. So if you have pain in the back, there's either resistance to, like for me, I've been exploring this pain in the back of my heart. And what I notice is my heart is so vast. It's literally like multi-dimensional. Like when I really lean into my heart, and again, this has been a journey that I've been on for years and years and years. And I'm like getting to this point of like seeing my heart in a new way and feeling it in a new way. But when I really lean into my heart, it's so expansive and free and big. It almost feels like I might float away from myself, So then it's like I've put up these walls and these protections in the back of my heart to keep me grounded. And what I notice is when those protections start to come online, it's like I then have pain in the back of my heart. It feels really tight, and it's a fear, right? It's a fear of floating away or opening my heart so big that I might get hurt, right? And so if you have pain that's in the back of your heart, it's related to your heart, and it could be, deeper. It's more of like this relationship with the essence of who you are, the relationship with your soul. And so yes. So the heart is all about the right to love and be loved. And the heart is so vast. There's so many layers. We have um, this logical concept of love, and what love is. But when you really, really drop into your heart and, you know, if you, I would say probably the profound moments, I've never had a child, but I would imagine if you give birth and the moment you see your child, that is pure heart energy, or if, um, when things like that happen, even if it's a tragedy and it's like all of a sudden you just feel, right? And all the thoughts dissipate, but you're just in this immense feeling that is true heart energy. And, when we get to the core of our of our heart, it really is everything is included. So it's this love that's so pure that even pain doesn't matter, or even violence or destruction or anything. It's like when we really get to the core of the heart, it's like all of these things are welcome, and there's just pure love. And so usually, it's like this being that deep in our heart is such a practice. And it's like what I've noticed for myself is the more I'm opening to my own heart, I can get there and I can be there for a little while, and then I come out of it, so I might go into my heart for maybe a couple hours. Sometimes maybe it's even 10 minutes, and then it's like when life starts to happen, I notice myself being pulled out of that deep place. So just kind of giving you an idea of the vastness of these energetics, it's something that we're learning with the logical mind, and there's so many layers to it. And so, even if you know some of this stuff already, I invite you to explore a new layer of it as you're diving in. So the heart, some of the affirmations, I'm loved and supported. So this is a lot about loving, but also being able to receive love and support for ourselves, from ourselves, right? So again, we have multiple layers of our energy. And so the first layer is how we are interacting with the world. So it might be very direct to giving love to others, receiving love from others. The middle layer is loving ourselves, so it's giving love to ourselves and receiving love from ourselves. And then the deepest layer, which is our soul layer, is going to be all about our essence, right? Our soul, who we are on that core level. And so then it's opening to that, right? And opening and loving that part of ourself. That's the deepest of the deep part of us. And so, yes, it's so vast. So, yes, the heart. And what I notice, so again, each of us are going to have different portals for healing. And so my heart is one of my core portals for healing. And it's like what I notice is the more I am in my own heart, the more all of my other chakras align. And so, if you know, or you get a sense of what some of your portals of healing are, when you work that edge and when you work on that area, it's going to open all areas of your life and all areas of your energetic. Okay, so the throat chakra is the 5th chakra. Go back to my little diagram. The color is blue. And this is our chakra of communication. It's the throat area, the ears, our glands as well, our jaw. If you have jaw, TMJ, any of that, that's throat chakra. And this is all about the right to speak your truth and express your truth. And the throat is really the place where it's like the bridge between our physical body and our spiritual self. So it's like it's the place where we let our soul begin to meet the world. And so if sometimes we know who we are, right, on a deep level, but then we have a hard time letting ourselves meet the world. Or maybe it's like what you really want and need, but you have a hard time asking for it, right? Or letting other people see what it is that you really want and need. Well, then that would be the throat. Other things that happen with the throat chakra is when we have to prove ourselves. So an out of balance throat chakra where it's more overactive might look like trying to strive or prove or work really hard so that people see you or so that people love you or so that whatever the thing is, right? And so when we are working really hard to do things, that's going to be an overactive throat chakra. And energetically, it's like I can feel, just as I'm talking about this, it's this leaning forward. So when our throat chakra is overactive, it really feels like this leaning forward outside of yourself to prove. And I know for myself, when I was in college and the beginning of my healing journey, but also the beginning of I guess my career, I guess you can say, as a dietitian and as a holistic health coach. That's when I started. That's what I started in. I had a lot of throat chakra issues, and I mean for various reasons. But in college, I was like, I think I graduated with like a 3.8 or something. I was definitely a high achiever, a prover of like wanting to prove myself, right? And we don't always know that at the time. But again, if we notice the out of balance, so you notice yourself burn out, or you notice like for me, my thyroid was coming up on test and I was having trouble with my weight and all these different things, well, then I can go and look at the energetic of, okay, well, what does that mean? And so this is how we work. We learn these energetics. And again, you are your best teacher when it comes to this, and your experience is your best teacher, because when you have the experience, you're going to learn it on a much deeper level than just knowing it with your mind. Experience is more of the heart, So, okay, I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit. I said these trainings were only going to be like 30 minutes and they're like all an hour, but that's okay. Okay, so the third eye is our neck chakra. It's our 6th chakra, and this is sort of like a royal blue color. This is our sight. This is on our forehead. It can also govern the eyes. It can govern the forehead. So if you get a lot of headaches, if you it's the right to see, but I also find, this seeing can also be a wanting to see things, wanting to know what's going to happen, wanting to understand things, wanting to learn things, right? That can also be a third eye thing. For me, an out of balance third eye has showed up for me as I love connecting the dots, but I can go to the extent of like needing to see how all the dots are connected, right? Or needing to, like really wanting to understand, right? So even when my health issues would come up, I would really, really want to understand them, and still I do this sometimes when I'm working on different aspects of myself. I can feel where my mind, it starts to actually pull me out of my heart, right? Because the heart doesn't need to know. It doesn't need to see. It doesn't need to understand on that level. It just wants to feel. And what'll happen is my mind takes me out of my heart, right? Because my mind, my third eye, wants to see and to understand and to figure out a solution and to strategize. And for what's usually needed is for me to lean into my heart, and so when our third eye is out of balance, it can be this like wanting to see the finish line, wanting to have a plan to get to the finish line. It can be wanting to see why things are happening the way they are, wanting to find a solution to that, right? And so this could be an out of balance third eye. And so, some of the affirmations, it's safe for me to see the truth. I am guided and supported in all situations. It is safe for me to follow my vision. And this vision, there's a way that we put the vision externally, but really we need to bring, if you have an out of balance third eye, we need to bring it more in. We need to bring that sight, that vision inward rather than being so focused outward. Because especially if you struggle with boundaries, like I know for myself, when my third eye is on high alert and I'm like in the want to see mode, what happens is my other senses open up, right? And so it puts me in this high alert of wanting to see. And I end up taking on or calling in energy that isn't mine because I'm in this want to see, wanting to know, wanting to feel mode. I'm opening all my senses and then I'm actually more exposed. So, yes. And, as you start to have your own experience of these chakras, I invite you to use the Facebook group as a place for us to be able to talk about this. And, because again, it's like this is an activation in itself. And then I invite you to notice what you are experiencing, because that's where, the power is going to be for you of learning this on a different level, on a cellular level, on a heart level. Okay, and then our last chakra is our crown. And so our crown chakra is at the top of our head. The color is purple. And this is our brain. This is our connection to spirit. This is about knowing on a deep spiritual level. So it's not knowing with the mind. It's knowing from this deep spiritual place. So you can see it hovers above our head. And so the crown chakra can be out of balance for various reasons. One, that I've seen for a lot of clients is fear of God. If you've had something tragic happen and you felt like, well, why didn't God save me? Or why wasn't God there, right? Why wasn't spirit there? Then sometimes we disconnect. Other things, if I am connected, so this has been mine, if I am connected, I don't know what's going to be asked of me. Every time I've connected to my crown in my business, like plans totally change. It's not what I thought. I'm like, oh my God, is my business going to like have to do this thing all over again? So then we disconnect. So sometimes it can be a fear of like, what's going to happen if I do connect? Sometimes it could be a worthiness piece of, well, I don't know if I'm really worthy of being connected to my crown or to spirit, you know? So there can be all these different layers of why, and our crown energy is always available for us. Source is always available for us. So some of the affirmations for this: I am a divine being. Everything is in divine and perfect order. Spirit always guides me and protects me. It is safe for me to see and follow my inner truth. And again, if you notice one of these chakras is out of balance, you can use the forgiveness statements to also help, bring some permission to connecting you back. So, so this week, what I really want to invite you to do is notice what chakras are coming forward for you. You can use, whether it's emotions or mindset blocks or physical things that are happening for you, you can use that as a portal to see, like, okay, well, what chakra is this associated with? If you're not sure, feel free to ask in the group, and I'm happy to help you pinpoint that. Then notice, does it match what you're feeling? So if you notice you have stomach aches and you go to the solar plexus, and then you notice like you are having, do the feelings match up to the feelings associated with the solar plexus? So you can go through that. And then, so what do you do once you know this? So as Carolyn Mays says, each choice we make, we either become more involved in the illusory physical world, or we invest energy into the power of spirit. And so it's like, once you know, then you can set an intention and you can start to find healing in that area. So yes. Any questions? Okay, so Teresa says, what would a pain in the left arm be associated with? So I would go towards the heart, and then the left arm is the feminine, so looking at feminine wounds, whether it's your own divine feminine within you. It could also be looking at your relationships with the women around you. So Jamie says, do you have tips for starting to notice the chakras more? Do you start with noticing what you're feeling and then figure out which chakra it corresponds to? I'm going to record a separate meditation. I'll do a separate chakra meditation for you. I think that'll be better than me just recording it here. And we'll go through the chakras, but you can do the meditations. And I would also say, notice what you're feeling, notice what you're physically feeling, and then go towards that. What's coming to me too is this daily practice. So when I was really learning this, I would do this daily practice exercise, and there's a morning and an evening daily practice, and it's, I think, like 7 questions, but it brings you through this process, and it's a great way to start building awareness of your chakras and your energetic as well. So I'll share that as well. Okay, so grounding has helped a lot, but do you have any ideas on how to do really deep root and sacral chakra work? Yeah, so if you're wanting to do deep work, you're probably going to need someone to hold a session for you, because especially these lower chakras of the root and the sacral chakra, it's really hard to access that by yourself. And it's really hard to clear that energy by yourself because there's so much fear. Our ego wants to hold on to it. So it's, if you're doing the ancestral healing work around your root, that's pretty deep. And then if you're feeling like you're wanting to go deeper, I would probably say a one-on-one session would be the best way to do that. You're welcome. And I mean, sometimes, if you notice the things coming forward, it's like clear what you can, and then notice where where the edges are of you're not able to look at the thing by yourself, or you're noticing like you can't see past a certain area yourself. I know for myself, you know, there are certain things that when I start to get to a certain place, it's like I can only go so deep by myself. And then I need someone to help me to hold the session for me, just because our subconscious won't let us do the thing. And often, too, it's like what'll happen is the thing we think it is, when you get someone else's eyes on it, is often not actually the thing. And this is the way that our ego works. Our ego wants to keep us safe. And so it's really hard to like really get to the core by yourself. So, any other questions? All right, my dears. Okay, so I'm going to do a separate chakra healing meditation for you. And I'll also post those links in the group, and then I'll post them. Everything, is on the website. So all links, can be found there, all handouts, all recordings. So I'll post them there as well. So I hope you have a fabulous week, and, share in the group what's moving forward for you and what's coming forward for you, as well as we start to bring forward the chakra energy.